The Lord brought my family to Israel during the pandemic. He kept us here for a war that was ignited by Hamas that Israel didn't want and didn't ask for. Some people you're about to hear from who have never been to Israel. No. So there's one person. Look, there were a lot of people at this Religious Liberty Commission. They came together to talk about a lot of things. Carrie Prejean Bowler, she's former Miss California. She became Catholic relatively recently. So she showed up at the hearing and she was wearing a pin that had an American and Palestinian flag. She came with an agenda.
I would really appreciate it if you would stop calling Candace Owens an anti-Semite. She's not an anti-Semite. She just doesn't support Zionism, and that really has to stop. I don't know why you keep bringing her up and Tucker.
Well, because they're the two most famous anti-Semites.
There you go again.
True.
Everyone's an anti-Semite. So if you don't support Zionism, you just said you're not an anti-Semite, yet Candace is an anti-Semite.
I think she goes far beyond not merely supporting Zionism. She calls Jews the synagogue of Satan.
Exactly.
She denigrates anyone who, she often uses the word Zionist and the word Jew interchangeably. At one point, she slipped up and used the word Jew, and someone said, oh, you're not saying Zionist anymore? She's like, no, gloves are off.
I would literally rather saw off my own foot than support Israel. Never supporting that demonic nation ever again.
Is that it is a fact that Jewish pedophiles, American Jewish pedophiles, escape and run and hide in Israel, where they are given safe harbor.
Denigrating the Jews as a people, calling the Jewish state demonic, spinning conspiracy theories about Jewish pedophile rings, has insinuated Israel was connected somehow. She's floated this idea in Charlie Kirk's assassination. That crosses a line. So Carrie pushes back. And she demands to know why Seth keeps bringing her up, bringing Candace up. And Seth Dillon draws a clear line.
Do you think saying Christ is king is anti-Semitic?
No, Christ is king. He's the king of the universe.
So
the phrase Christ is king has been, admittedly by many, co-opted for the purpose of identifying with a Groyper movement and putting the Jews in their proper place to show them that they are other than.
I posted on Instagram last week that when Tucker Carlson platforms, when he interviews some of the worst people in the world, he loses credibility. Who is that? Cenk from the Young Turks, Nick Fuentes. I was attacked viciously. Forget, I got a forehead of stone. I'm fine. I got much worse than Christ is king. Look at this. I got LOL, Jewish follower of Jesus. Okay, Kike. Says a effing Cohen. How are you a follower of Jesus and the people that killed him? Get out of USA, Jew. Zio detected. I want you to just think for a moment, okay? Because when Jesus was crucified, what was written? What was written above his head? King of the Jews. I don't know if you thought about this. That sign has two meanings. And the first was a mockery. The Romans were mocking the idea that this man who was hanging on a cross, who was dying, who was bleeding, who had been beaten to within a millimeter of his life, that he could be king. They were laughing at him. They were using his identity as a Jew to humiliate him. Now, the second one, that was the truth. He is the King of the Jews. He was then, he is now, and he will return as the manifested King of the Jews in the New Jerusalem. And that's why this matters. That's why this divide in the Christian world right now is so important. When Candace responds to Ben Shapiro in a public feud using, look at that, the bottom of the screen, Christ is king, to mock Jews, to silence Jews, to defend Israel, it's an attack like the Romans. Don't you see that? It's like taking a sacred truth and turning it into a weapon.